Hi everyone, how's it going? Hi. Hi. Hi everyone, how's it going today? Happy day 6 of the yoga challenge. Congratulations for making it this far in the journey with me. It really means a lot to me that you show up and you keep practicing, because this practice is nothing without you getting on the mat and doing your practice. So today we reach what is called Parsvottanasana, and this is the final standing pose of the Ashtanga Yoga standing pose series. Now, the standing asanas are sometimes called the foundational asanas or the foundational poses, because these asanas really create the foundation for your entire practice. Sometimes it's easier to work forward bend flexibility and stability in the standing poses because, because you're standing and gravity is working in your favor. So when you fold forward, there's a natural drawing in or lengthening of the muscles of the low belly. And the last of the standing poses, Parsvottanasana, you can translate into English as the intense side stretch, although that may lead you a little bit awry if you try to directly translate the words into what the asana is. So let's break down some of the key anatomical pointers that are in this asana. First of all, there is a very intense forward bend, so the main foundation of this posture is a pretty intense forward bend. Second, there's a little internal rotation in the hip joint that you're forward bending into. So all of the key principles of forward bending would be combined with a deep, not necessarily deep, but a deep understanding of the dynamics of hip flexion and internal rotation of the hip joints. Lastly, and this is important, the shoulder position is of quite relevant importance. So for those students who are newer to the practice, you can treat Parsvottanasana just like a pyramid pose and put your hands on the ground and just work the forward bend, the foundation, and the pelvis. For those students who feel quite comfortable in their forward bend, then you can begin to internally rotate the shoulders, bearing the entire body weight on the legs, and then work with the shoulder position. So I actually want to start off with you first by working with the shoulder position. So I'm just gonna turn around so you can see what's happening in the shoulder joints. Make sure my hair is completely out of the way so you get a good view of the shoulders. So here I go. I am turning around. Now, first, right, I've got my microphones in here so you can hear me quite well. So now we can think about the shoulders. First, you want to think about internally rotating the shoulders. You're going to roll the shoulder joints forward. Now, the first thing you can do is hold onto your elbows or hold onto your wrists like this while dropping your shoulders forward. The second option that you can do is take your two fists and press them into each other like this. When your fists press into each other, this continues the internal rotation of the shoulders where the humerus drops forward. Then you can press your fingertips into each other and press the palms. Now we have what's called reverse prayer position. You do not need to get your hands very high, so up the back, so this is not necessary. Instead, just reach kind of a nice 90-degree angle with the wrists and then press the heels of the hands into each other. And then now, this is the same hand position that you want to find in Parsvottanasana. So I'm going to move my hair out of the way this way, so then you'll be able to see what's going on in the shoulders. Right, so here we have the shoulders, all right? So now, thinking about what's happening in the shoulders, you're internally rotating the shoulders, using that to hold on to your wrists or potentially to hold on to the elbows, pressing the fists into each other or getting that reverse prayer position. Now watch the collarbone in internal rotation. You want the collarbone to stay broad and long, so we're just really rolling the humerus forward, okay? Watch out for any compensation that might come up in Parsvottanasana. Okay, so now let's go ahead on over to the yoga mat and begin to work on the principles of this standing pose. I'm going to slide on over to the yoga mat here. Maybe move it just a tad back. So first, let's make sure we got a good forward bend. So if you want to just bend your knees and then hang forward for a couple breaths, relax your head, and then we'll just drape the hands down. And this is just to make sure your forward bend technique and your forward bend is nice and warmed up. So give me 5 breaths like this, and you can just kind of hang down. So try to review the forward bend technique that we went over already. So you're thinking about drawing the navel in, relaxing the spine, and elongating through the whole back of the legs, being very conscious not to overstretch, all right? So no overstretching. Good, and you can just kind of roll it from side to side for a moment. Great. Then I want you to grab 2 yoga blocks. And so now we begin to work on a little bit of the technique. I want you to grab 2 yoga blocks. and place your hands on the yoga blocks. Then step your left foot, and it could be the left or the right, but I'm just facing this way, so I'm going to do the left foot. Left foot directly between the blocks, and then press your hands on the blocks or press your fingertips on the blocks so that you can reach that 90-degree angle with the body. Line up your heels with each other, and let's try to turn that right foot 45 degrees out to the side. So having your hands on the blocks will help you address any misalignments in the hips. This is a very common misalignment in the hip where all the weight rests on the back leg. This is a less common misalignment where you twist too much of over and then the back heel comes off the ground. Most common is this hip misalignment, which looks kind of funny. It looks like I'm showing you my butt right now. So we're going to try to keep the pelvis pointed in the direction of the extended leg forward. And then you're going to line your chest up with the left knee. And so this is the foundation of Parsvottanasana, which you could again call the pyramid pose. This is the most narrow of all the standing poses, so you don't put your feet this close together. Don't put your feet really wide apart like in Trikonasana, but maybe 2.5 to 3 feet apart. That back foot is 45 degrees externally rotated, and you can either line up your left heel to the right arch or your heels with each other. And after you held this position for about 5 breaths, then you can explore drawing the kneecap up on the left side and then exhale to relax the back muscles. And so you want to avoid squeezing the neck forward like this and think about relaxing the back muscles. You could even point your forehead down towards the shin, or depending on your level of flexibility, reach forward. Of course, if that flexibility is not accessible to you, just stay with your hands straight and work your pyramid pose like this. Now, draw in the muscles of the low belly. So you could stay here and do no more for the pyramid pose. However, if you want to take it and add in those hand positions, you need to make sure that your legs and your forward bend is strong enough to be able to hold yourself up. Okay? So you can test it out by coming up onto your fingertips, then hands out to the side, and let's hold the elbows, roll the shoulders forward, and then exhale, just drape your back muscles down. So let's hold this for 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, almost there, 4, and 5. Let's take the hands down. Inhale, we come halfway up. Exhale there, and then inhale, come on all the way up. And we're just going to pivot around and switch the sides. So you might want to take a moment and readjust the blocks so that the blocks come forward. After this, I can show you an entry without the blocks, but let's just make sure we get the basics of the alignment really well established, okay? So here we go. Find that connection. The heel to arch with the left foot externally rotated, checking for any of our common misalignments by really stabilizing the pelvis. And you can explore. If you don't need the blocks, you can put the hands on the floor. If you need to come up on your fingertips, you can do that as well. So then you can test out, do you feel that your right hip is internally rotated and strong enough to carry your body weight? If the answer is no, I want you to stay right here. And I had a few months in my practice where I couldn't bear weight on my right side, so I had to do this posture with the hands on the ground or hands on the blocks for support. So give your body the time it needs whenever it's healing, okay? Then, rooting down into your right leg, inhale, come up, hold the elbows, or you could try now pushing your fists into each other, or you could try wiggling those hands up into prayer position, and exhale, fold. Let's hold for 5. 1. Watch the alignment. 2, keep your weight forward. 3, chest center. 4, and 5. You can release your hands. Inhale, straighten, and exhale. Let's take a break and come on down. So Parsvottanasana is a posture that you can quite easily modify by just dialing it down a little bit and taking some different variations for your hand position. Always remember the good, healthy technique of forward bending so that your back muscles are releasing into the foundation of the legs. And if you feel that, particularly if you have hamstring injury or there's too much pressure on the hamstrings, then definitely use the blocks and only emphasize the supported version of this posture. Okay, so let's say that felt really good and you want to figure out how to just enter the posture, say from standing. Okay, so you would come up to Samasthitihi, which is our standing pose, all right? And then getting your hand position. So let's, I'll just do holding on to the elbows. Inhale, take a step out to the right, square. Find your alignment, check it from standing, draw the navel in. And then exhale, pivot forward and reach that same 90-degree angle. And after you reach that 90-degree angle, relax and elongate the back muscles, pivoting inside the hip joints. Avoid tensing your back and keeping it up here. And again, relax the back muscles. And you can let your head hang down and gaze to the nose, or you can rest your chin on the shin and gaze slightly forward. And if you're a little bit higher and then the back is a little here, it's no problem. Just work your flexibility. After a couple of breaths, inhale, use a healthy forward bend technique to come up, pivot. Deep breath in, prepare, check your alignment, make sure the navel is in, and then exhale, fold, aiming your chest down to that left knee as you fold forward. And if you want to switch to pressing the knuckles into each other, or if you want to switch to palms pressing into each other, try to get the heels of the hands touching. Draw the navel in and then inhale, come up. Release your hands, samasthitihi, back to standing. Good. So this is the asana called Parsvottanasana. And as I mentioned already at the start of this little tutorial, Parsvottanasana is the last of the standing poses. So when you reach the last of the standing poses, the work of the practice really starts to integrate. And when this work of the practice really starts to integrate, you can feel even just this posture by itself could be like a mini practice, depending on how much time you have, depending on how much energy you have. And you really want to make sure that you have the healthy principles of asana practice integrated into your body so that you're not pushing and you're not trying to be in a competition, not with yourself or with anyone else, right? So the alignment pointers that I share with you are meant to make the asana more accessible, more easier, so that you can find your version of the posture. And they're not really meant as absolute, correct kind of, answers to a test that you're going to have to pass one day to show your yoga proficiency. So that technique which works for you, that technique you want to use and integrate. That technique which is not working for you, well, don't worry about it. Then that's not for you. It's not a problem. Like all knowledge, it's fluid and is best living and alive. So when you apply the knowledge in your practice and you take that knowledge off of your mat and into your life, what lessons the practice teaches you, that's where the magic of yoga really, really remains. Okay, everyone, so thank you so much for joining today. This is today's asana, day 6 of the Ashtanga Yoga Challenge. I am looking forward to sharing the next 24 days with you. We're going to have a complete practice coming up soon, so please stay tuned for that, and then you'll be able to work through all the tutorials that we've been through and integrate that into a flow practice. So I really want you to get the good foundation and the principles of yoga, and then apply that into a really complete practice so that you can get inspired to practice the Ashtanga yoga method, get on your mat, and just keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Okay, everyone, thanks so much for joining. Stay tuned. Be sure to join the challenge. Leave me a comment. Let me know how it's going. How do you feel after you did all the standing poses? And tune in tomorrow to continue your 30-day Ashtanga challenge, building it up from the basics, progressively moving into the magic of the practice. Thanks, everyone. Namaste.